Blue eyes. Ninth grade in a new school. It sucked. It was the worst of times and the suckiest of times. I had to leave all my friends at my old school, just at a time when school was becoming interesting and I finally grew boobs and I was coming out of my shell. My home life was bad, I didn't want to be at this new school, so I wasn't in a good frame of mind to make new friends, and it showed, so I was shunned and labeled a loser. But, not by him. I'll call him Dallas, though it's not his real name. He was my science lab partner. Dallas was nice to me, he was smart and funny, easy to talk to from our first meeting. I remember one time our science teacher showed some boring science movie, and I pulled out a book and held it under the edge of the table, reading it. Dallas reached over and took it away from me, saying, "You shouldn't read in the dark, it will ruin your eyes." He had a point, though it wasn't that dark. Now, if it had been anyone else, I would have went off and told him in colorful terms that it wasn't his business, but I could never get angry at Dallas. Summer came, and the carnival with it. Dallas was there, with a couple of our mutual friends, among the very short list of people I could tolerate at that time. Dallas and I rode the Ferris wheel, and I asked him not to flip the carriage, which he was polite enough not to do. Looking back, I wish I had been less of a chicken and let him flip the carriage upside down. I've never been on the Ferris wheel with another guy, in all these years. He invited me back to his house, which I jumped at. I was in foster care at the time, and dying to get out and live on my own. I went to his house and smoked weed with Dallas and his friends. I'd never seen eyes so blue, like the song Magic Man, by Heart. "Come on home, girl," he said with a smile. "You don't have to love me yet, and let's get high a while." Let me tell you. I did love him right away. It was a blissful 6 months that we dated, until I screwed it all up, because I was all messed up, myself. I broke a beautiful thing with my immaturity. The following year I had to transfer to yet another school. After I graduated, I saw him around a few times, until he moved to a different state. Thank God for the invention of social media. I found him again, not long ago. He's been married and divorced, as have I. Though our moment has long passed, and we are in committed relationships with other people, Dallas was my first love, and always will be. Even after 25 years, I still love him, and I'm thankful for his friendship. Oh. And his eyes are still just as blue as ever. Update, May 2022. My husband passed away from COVID and pneumonia in January of this year. In April, I found out that Dallas, not his real name, went to jail. I wrote him a couple of letters, and we've been messaging back and forth. I didn't have any expectations at the beginning, but it's become clear to both of us that those feelings are still there, just as strong as ever. He gets out in June, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Update number 2, July 2022. He got out of jail on June 8th. It's like lightning in a bottle so far, but I'm so in love. I think I've found my twin flame again, after nearly 30 years. Update number 3, May 2023. Dallas has had a couple of court dates since my last update. We have gone our separate ways. It wasn't happy ever after, but we're still friends. I don't believe anything happens by accident, and I feel like we had a positive influence on each other's lives. This story is a testament to the enduring power of first love and the unpredictable paths our lives can take. Meeting Dallas during a difficult time provided a beacon of light, a reminder that kindness and connection can transform our experiences. Although their romance didn't last forever, the friendship and the memories left an indelible mark. From shy sighs to love's ties. This is a story about the first year of my relationship with the girl I love. I suppose it starts back in July 2017. She was dating my best friend at the time, they were in a relationship for a few weeks and it ended on bad terms. While they were dating, I had only seen her one time. I didn't really say much to her as I am a very shy and socially awkward person. I think I managed to get a few hellos out, but nothing more than that. The next time I met her was on the 31st of October. To be honest, I don't really remember that night much since I was blackout drunk for the majority of it. By that time things seemed to be okay between her and my friend, and that's how I started talking to her more. In late November, we were all talking in group chats. Online, I am a lot less awkward and am able to talk to other people, so this was a great way for me to start talking to her. As I started to become more friendly with her, I started to realize that she's not how my best friend made her out to be at all. We started to hang out more, and the more time I spent with her, the closer I felt to her. There are quite a few people in our friends group. I couldn't quite explain why. But I felt like I had some sort of bond with her, like I could connect with her in a way that I couldn't with the other people. Usually I hate it when people hug me, but when she did, it always felt warm and comforting. Where our relationship progressed was on New Year's Eve. I had one of my depressive episodes and ended up leaving all of the group chats I was in. At the time, I just felt really lonely, as if I'm destined to never be happy. She ended up private messaging me, asking what was wrong and why I was feeling like that. There's only a few people that know how much of a shit show my childhood was. I felt comfortable with talking about it with her. And she seemed to have the perfect response to everything. After a while, I felt a little better about myself, and I will never forget some of the things that she said to me that night. January. We hung out once a week, usually in a group of 7 people. At this point, I considered her a very close friend of mine, and without wanting to sound like a white knight SJW, I felt like I wanted to look out for her as much as possible. In that group were a few guys, really creepy. And how they treated her made me feel upset and angry. I wasn't too sure why I felt so strongly towards her. I was convinced that I can't like her due to her being my best friend's ex. Seeing the way these guys were with her led to me drinking rather heavily, mainly because I felt like there was nothing I could do. Subconsciously, I think I knew that I liked her then. And the fact I couldn't say anything or do anything about it really got to me. It started to bring back my depression. I don't usually get angry, and I never used to self-harm. But the only thing I could think of doing was punching myself instead. Usually until my hand was really bruised or until my face was bleeding. Yes, I am aware of how retarded I sound right now. I was in a very bad state mentally. I ended up telling her what was making me feel like that, and she thanked me for it. As it made her feel uncomfortable too. This is towards the start of February 2018 now. My friend asked me if I like her, to which I replied with, I don't know. I feel as if I can't because you used to date, and if I did it would be a betrayal of our friendship. He was surprisingly good about it and didn't seem to mind. In fact, he told me to go for it. We're in February now, and I had decided that I was going to tell her that I liked her. I have never been in a relationship with someone at this point. Never even held another girl's hand, let alone kissed one. Saying I was shitting it would be an understatement. I thought to myself, how could she ever see me like that? How could she ever want to date an ugly 6 feet 7 inches fat, in my opinion, autistic, depressed, long-haired person with extreme social anxieties? She is around 5 feet 6 inches. Compared to me, she's a genius, slim, and is still the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. Every time I talk to her, all of my troubles just seem to disappear, and I can just be myself, and happy for a change. I put quite a lot of thought into how I was going to tell her. I was going to do it the day before Valentine's. Outside of the pub we usually go to, I wasn't drinking that night as I wanted her to take it seriously. I had quite a few opportunities to tell her that night. I ended up getting too nervous and I couldn't do it. I really did want to do it in person. But I ended up telling her how I felt online. I don't think she knew how to take it. She said that it was a lot to take in and that she'd need a while to think about it. It took 4 really long and nerve-wracking days. But we agreed to meet up by ourselves and talk about it. Something we had never done at that point. That day I was really anxious, having stomach pains. Couldn't stop shaking. I wasn't sure if I should go. I knew that I couldn't do that to her and went. It was quite muddy that day. We met at the train station in the town we usually hang out in. I couldn't start a conversation for shit. Thankfully she did most of the talking that day. It was the first time I had ever spent time with another girl by myself. I was 21. We walked up a hill and sat at the top of it on a bench. It was really muddy that day. She decided that because of how her last relationship ended, she didn't want to rush into anything and she wanted to see how it would go before we decided on starting a relationship. We spent time together every other day. And slowly, I became more comfortable with talking to her in person. Within a week, I was able to start conversations and carry them on. I was still really nervous though, and wasn't sure on what was acceptable. To the point where I asked her if it was okay if I held her hand. On the 3rd of March it was snowing. We met up, and at this point I really wanted to know if she could see us being in a relationship. So I asked her. And she said yes. I will never forget that day. As a first date kind of thing, we decided to watch Black Panther. We still wanted to take it slowly, and we did. It took a few weeks for me to be comfortable with kissing her. The first time I kissed her was up on the hill. The one we usually go to talk about things. That's also something I will never forget, my first kiss. It's nearly been a year now, and without you I'd still be the introvert kiss, less virgin that I was. And I've loved every single moment of it. We've been sleeping together in this bed every night for about 6 months now. And while you're in hospital it really does feel empty and lonely without you. So Kate, if you ever come across this post, I love you, and I can't wait to spend many more years with you. This heartfelt story beautifully illustrates the transformative power of love and connection. It reminds us that even the most shy and socially awkward individuals can find someone who makes them feel seen, valued, and loved. The narrator's journey with Kate shows the importance of patience, communication, and taking things at your own pace. It's a touching reminder that genuine connection can help us grow into better versions of ourselves and bring immense joy and comfort, even during challenging times. For anyone reading, this story encourages us to embrace love and cherish those who make our lives brighter. Thank you for watching and sharing this journey with me. Until next time, take care and cherish the ones you love.